And now the question is, how do we get those color notes into our chord, right? Kurt Rosenwinkel is talking about that process like the Lathe process. So like you take something that you know and it's still the same thing at its core, but then you find variation of it that makes it a little bit less obvious, right? I want to talk about the diminished chord because I think there's a lot of confusion about the diminished chord, and there's some really cool things that you can do with it, and I just want to explain a little bit about basic stuff like the structure of the diminished chord and how you can play over it, but also that the diminished chord has some like color notes, and I think a lot of people don't know that. You know, like a C major 7 chord could be a C major 7 9 chord, and a diminished chord could also have a 9 in it, and I want to talk about that today and just give you some ideas how you can think about the diminished chord in a new way. And at the end of the video we're just going to look for some new shapes and how we can shift them around and just get some fresh ideas. So it's raining in Berlin today, it's a Saturday today, and I have been playing at the B flat yesterday and I'm very happy. A lot of people came out and I had a really good time playing live. And also have been thinking if I might do a video about playing live or how you can prepare yourself to play live or why it is so important, because I guess sometimes we forget how important that is. So let me know if that interests you. So let's start with the diminished chord. So if we have our normal chords like the major 7 chord, the dominant 7th chord, the minor 7 chord, the half diminished chord, and the diminished chords, they all are constructed from thirds that are stacked upon each other, right? So let's have a look at some very common shapes. Like this is a D major, dominant 7, D minor, and the difference between a minor 7 and a half diminished chord is really that the 5 is lower to a flat 5. But the half diminished is still a chord that has a flat 7. So it has a root, a flat 7, a flat 5, a flat 7, and a minor third. But then the difference to the diminished is that that flat 7 really is lowered as well. So if you want, you could talk about a diminished 7, but I would rather say it's a 6, right? And so the 7 is replaced by a 6. And this structure, you obtain it by stacking minor thirds on top of each other. And it's a symmetrical chord that you can shift around. And how can you improvise over a diminished chord? So if you have a diminished chord let's say the D diminished chord, you could think about a scale that has a diminished chord in its family, and that would be the harmonic minor scale actually. So it's on the 7th degree of E flat harmonic minor. So I'm going to record a D diminished chord. So I think it works somehow. If you need to play a diminished chord very quickly and you don't know what to do, that's maybe a shortcut. But in general, I would rather play a whole tone, half tone scale, which is the opposite of the whole tone, half tone scale. Whole tone, half tone. So you're just like starting and playing a whole tone and then a half tone, whole tone. Maybe you play it on one string really, because then you can really see the structure of this scale. So maybe play an F whole tone, half tone scale. Let's record another diminished chord. That sounds cool. And we can also play a diminished arpeggio on one string. So that's basically playing the F and then a bunch of minor thirds, right? That's a diminished arpeggio, and if you would play a second note, a whole tone higher, a whole note higher than each of those tones, you would have the whole tone half tone scale, you know, like F, and all those notes that we get like this, the G and the B flat and the D flat and the E, that consists of another diminished chord, right? But they are like the color notes that we can use on a diminished chord. So if you're playing an F diminished, you could be playing a G, that would be a 9. You could be playing a B flat, that would be an 11. A D flat, that would be a flat 13, and an E, a major 7. Those notes are the color notes of a diminished chord. And now the question is, how do we get those color notes into our chord, right? So one chord that you probably know is this one. That's a C diminished, right? C, A, E flat, G flat. And one thing that we can do is we raise this G flat to an A flat, that's a whole tone higher. And then we have a color note. So we have a C diminished chord with a flat 13. And we can play like this. It's really cool. And you know that you can shift the diminished chord, right? Of course, you can also shift it along with the color note. And then you still have the same diminished chord, because all diminished chords are interchangeable, right? You can move the same shape in minor thirds, but the color note, of course, changes its name and you get different colors. So here with the A flat, you have the flat 13. Here with the F, you have the 11. And here you have the D, that would be the 6. And here you would have the major 7. So this is a really cool shape. So let's think about a typical progression where a diminished chord could appear. So maybe in C major there would be E minor 7, E flat diminished, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So we could be playing like, for the E minor, because it's on the third degree, we would be playing a C major chord in inversion maybe. So that's a little tangent here, but if you're having a minor 7 chord on a third degree, try not to play the 9 on that chord because it doesn't belong to the key that you're in, and rather play a chord with a, maybe with a C major in an inversion. So this is C with E in the bass. You can use that for the E minor 7. Going to the E flat diminished, using our new voicing. Going to D minor, G7, 9, C major. So let's try to find another way to play the same progression. We know that we can shift that chord, so we're going to shift it. So we know that's our E flat diminished, and now we're going to think about the other chords in different ways. So maybe, how can we play an E minor here? Maybe like this. And then a D minor. Just making stuff up. Nee, warte mal. Genau. And maybe one last idea, just shift that one again. So maybe play an E minor 7 with a B in the bass. So Kurt Rosenwinkel is talking about that process, like the lathe process. So like you take something that you know and it's still the same thing at its core, but then you find variation of it that makes it a little bit less obvious, right? That I love that concept because that means you can play all the stuff that you normally play on top of it, right? But you're making it a little bit more sophisticated. So another diminished chord that I like to use is this one. If you're having somebody that accompanies you. Yeah, but now it works. So we have a C diminished triad like C, E flat, G flat, and the B again would be our major 7, the color note of the diminished chord. And this chord, of course, we can shift it around again, right? And then we can do the same thing that we just said, just like try to find new ways of playing it. So let's stick with E minor 7, E flat diminished, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So E minor 7, the new diminished shape, D minor 7. Oh, that's cool, right? I love that. And then I want to have this note on top. So always listen to your top note if you can find a melody there. Let's shift it one more time. And just analyze it for a second. So we have a flat 7. So it's supposed to be here, of course, right? So we have a 6, the root, a minor third, and a flat 6, so like a flat 13, a color note. This is the root, is the E flat, of course, sorry. And then again, let's try to play something. So maybe we have A flat here. I'm thinking, let's play an A here. Let's skip the rule about playing no 9 on the E-7 chord just for a minute. So that's cool. Please experiment. And then last but not least, one thing that you can do with the diminished chord is sort of, if you're having a tonic, like you're in, let's say you're in C major 7 and you're having a longer stretch of a C major 7 chord, you could play or think a C diminished chord for a longer time and then resolve it to the C major chord. So that's basically what I did in the beginning of the video. So let's record a C major chord. And I'm playing a diminished shape. It's tension, right? And resolving it. So that's just a thought, because that's a nice trick how you can use a diminished sound even if there is no diminished chord on your page. And last but not least, I just want to talk about how you can practice this shape. So one thing that I learned is the sort of what it's called Django Reinhardt sort of trick is to play 2 notes per string. So let's think, if we stay in C, what is our lowest note? That would be the E flat. Okay, we can't play that. The next one is G flat, right? G flat A, C, E flat. So it's a nice way to get across the fretboard, right? Let's start on the A. So that's something that I like to practice, and other than that, you can of course also play the diminished scale in very many there are many ideas that you can get from it because it's symmetrical. So one thing, let's come up with something is like, oh, the birds are leaving. Oh, goodbye. The autumn is coming. It's like, sorry. I think you heard that before. Oh. So I'm recording with manual mode. I hope that video turns out well. But, sorry. So what I did is just play the diminished scale. And then just play the second note going to the first, the fourth to the third, sixth to the fifth. And then, you know what I always like to do now, I'm practicing it in one position, that I'm thinking, can I practice it more horizontally? Is there a way to do that? So I'm practicing a little bit with you at the moment. So my lowest note was the G flat, so that's the flat 5. So I know my next note has to be a whole tone higher, right? Because the first note was part of the arpeggio. And now I'm trying to find like a pattern that I can use here. Maybe I find one. Yeah, I found one. You know, because that's the thing about the symmetrical scales. If you find pattern, then of course they also develop sort of in a symmetrical fashion. So I'm playing whole tone, whole tone, whole tone. Yeah, so it's just an idea, and then I would maybe think, oh, how can I, that sounds cool. I would think, how can I use it in a chord? So I play a C diminished chord like this, and replace the root with a 9. So because I can basically, this shape, and every note is just like, every note in this shape, right, is a note of the diminished chord, like, right? One more time, C the root, G flat the flat 5, E flat the minor third, and A the 6, our new 7. So basically I'm playing a frozen arpeggio. So that means I can replace any of those notes, maybe not all at the same time, that should be possible too, with a note a whole tone higher. So instead of okay, let's try another one. This one. Oh fuck. And then last but not least, of course, the diminished scale. If you turn it around, you can use it as the half note, whole tone scale. And this voicing, of course, could be a B713, flat 9, or a F sharp 11, sharp 9. But maybe let's talk about that another time. But I would just like want to invite you to experiment with that sound, and then just like I did, try to find some patterns and be sure that you write the stuff down that you find and that you don't forget it, so that you have a journal of your own ideas that you can come back to, and that you can develop your own lines and a little bit your own style. And I think that's a way to start. So I hope this video was helpful, and I see you next week. Let me know what you'd like to see, and yeah, stay tuned. Bye.